This is a quick introduction to adding value to greening through campaigning for farmed environment, and our argument is that enhancements to greening are essential to the industry and to farmers. Campaign for farmed environment is industry-led, so we're really interested in what is good for the industry and what is good for farming, and putting environmental enhancements alongside the productive business. This slide just shows you a reminder of what greening is and the different elements of greening that are out there. CFE is about adding value to these greening measures. They are very basic measures, and believe it or not, greening is quite simple. CFE is about adding environmental value to those to show government and the wider public that farmers do care for the environment and want to do that little bit more to add value to their ecological focus areas and other greening aspects. Currently, greening in England is as simple as DEFRA could make it. A lot of the EU regs that they could have introduced would have made it very complicated and very difficult for farmers to address and to work within their business. The payback is that government is trusting farmers to implement environmental management on top of the very basic greening measures. This statement here is from the Secretary of State at the time and really shows the government's trust in the industry and CFE's role in adding value to the basic ecological focus areas for farmland birds, for other farmland wildlife and for pollinators. And also, I should say, what's not mentioned in here is to protect soils and protect watercourses. Farmers really now have the opportunity to get it right and the opportunity to take charge of the agenda. There are threats out there if some extra environmental management isn't seen to happen. So now is the chance to get it right and do that little bit extra for the environment. The threats that could potentially happen under greening and under environmental regulation are that some of the ecological focus area options could be removed, so there's less available for you within your business. So certain EFAs could be removed from the list. A national certification scheme could be introduced to include a lot more prescription on how you manage your EFA and what you actually have to do on top of it, which is going to cost more money for the business and be more complicated to implement. And finally, the other threat that is out there and could be brought in at some stage is that the area of land that EFAs have to cover could be increased from currently 5% of your arable area to 7%. So there are three very real threats out there if some of the environmental challenges aren't seen to be addressed going forward. To summarise CFE messages, we have two simple messages around greening. The first one is retain, and to summarise this, much land or large areas of land are going to be coming out of ELS and other stewardship agreements in the next 18 months. It's really important that the majority of that land is retained in some sort of environmental management. That could be counting towards your greening requirements, so you could move some of that land into an ecological focus area or other greening requirements. But if that isn't available to you, it could still be managed voluntarily. A lot of that land was probably marginal, was probably not productive land in the first place, and it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of money to try and get that land back into production. Why not retain it, show the industry's support for the environment, retain that land and keep it in environmental management? So that's one of our key messages going forward. And our other message is to enhance. So as well as retaining land, why not add environmental value? And that can be done quite simply to some of your environmentally managed land, either your ecological focus areas or your other voluntary managed land. And there are a number of simple management prescriptions that CFE promote to do that. And simple ones that you can see on the slide here are to put in a pollen and nectar mix and to put in a wild birdseed mix to help the environment. And all of these are allowed on your ecological focus areas, particularly your land-lying fallow. So there's no reason why that couldn't be done, and CFE can give advice on how to do that. So to summarise, CFE's message is retain and enhance. And by doing both of those things in some way within your business, in the best way that works for your business and not affecting your production, by doing those things, CFE can show how farmers are embracing the environmental challenges and taking leadership of them. So very simply, when you're thinking about your greening and your ecological focus areas, thinking about retaining land in environmental management and enhancing it in some way.